everyone, it's Kim and welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. So a lot of these books I have already covered off in different videos throughout the month of March, and I will link them in the cards above and in the description box down below. So first, at the beginning of March, I did travel abroad to London and I had plenty of time to read some books. The first of those books that I finished this month is Billion Dollar Burger by Chad Purdy, and I read The Lentil Underground. Both of these books I read in the beginning of the month and are linked in my London vlog. Now, very quickly, The Billion Dollar Burger is a book all about investigating the new evolving space of cell-grown meat. So cell-grown meat are cells that come from animals but are grown and replicated in a test tube or scientific environment. So they are cells that derive from animals, but they're meant to be an alternative to the current model where we have commercial agriculture farming with tons of animals treated poorly. Essentially, the large industrial model we have for big beef is really not sustainable, and we know this. It's one of the biggest leading contributors to global warming, and cell-grown meat, as Purdy researches and talks about throughout this book, could be the future of how we eat meat. The Lentil Underground is also the other book that I read during my London vlog, and it is all about the regenerative farming of lentils and what this what this item could really do for the environment and how it has regenerative properties for soil. And it is a lovely book. I actually really loved the stark differences of these two books. Lentil Underground is all about fixing the soil, regenerative farming, and how this mighty lentil could be the answer. But also, Purdy's book about Billion Dollar Burger could be the answer to the future of meat. I think there's a future where both of these paths have to exist together in harmony. In my mid-month check-in, I did mention that I read Taste of Control for the Jacques Pepin reading group through Boston University's gastronomy program. So this I have already talked about, but it is food and the Filipino colonial mentality under the American rule. So this is food history, and I say food anthropology with the lens of government and how food can be used as propaganda to put down the Filipino group that was at the time colonized by the Americans. Also during that mid-month wrap-up, I did mention that I read Dirty Produce, this cute little picture book that is not at all child appropriate. I also read through NetGalley, thank you NetGalley, as an audiobook, A Tasty Dish, The Everhart Brothers of Texas, book number 2 by Kelly Kane. I did not realize that this was the second book in the series, but I did enjoy reading it. It has elements that I love. The female lead is a film documentarian trying to make her place in the world without resting on the laurels of her father's famous, prestige. And her love interest is one of 3 sons who are trying to also find their way under their own father's name as a famous culinary icon. Also within that mid-month check-in, I did finish Technically Food by Larissa Zimberoff. This is another food tech book that I loved, could be one of, if not my favorite book of the year. I've actually been following the author on Instagram as she goes to the Food Tech Summit, and I've actually been direct messaging her on Instagram, and we talk about food together, and I feel not bad, but like she's such an important food journalist, and here I am being like, oh my god, I tried this alternative plant product as well. What did you think? It's super fascinating. I really love this book. I really, really hope, of all the books I recommend and link to throughout the year, I really hope this is one that you guys consider picking up. And now the final book that I've covered in an upcoming video in my Unwrapped TBR is Gail Green's Insatiable, Tales from the Life of Delicious Excess. If you don't know who Gail Green is, she was the first food restaurant critic for The New Yorker, and this is her memoir, and it covers 300+ pages of, just as the subtitle says, Tales of a Life of Delicious Excess. I cover this in real detail in my Unwrap My TBR for March, and I'm really proud. I'm 3 for 3 months in a row of continuing to unwrap my TBR. I started strong last year and really fell off my goal, so I'm trying to keep this up, and this is the 3rd book that I've managed to read. Gail Green has also written a lot of other fiction books, very spicy romance books, including Delicious Sex, Blue Skies, No Candy, Dr. Love, Bite, A New York Restaurant Strategy. That one's probably not a romance book. Sex and the College Girl, and Don't Come Back Without It. So this was a really quick audiobook. This came in at 4 hours. The other book that I read this month that I actually do not believe I have covered anywhere else on this channel is Sadie on the Plate. This is by Amanda Elliott. Penguin Random House sent this to me. So first off, thank you, Penguin Random House. I really appreciate it. This book is on sale as of March 14th. So this is a brand new release. This is a finished copy. Sadie is a rising restaurant star in the Seattle scene, but when a scandal breaks out between her and her ex-boss, she finds that she has to move on and she is out of work, and she, by some lucky break, has actually been cast on the show Chef Supreme. She thinks her career is over, and now she lands this coveted spot on Chef Supreme, which very much is Top Chef without saying it's Top Chef. There are so many references to real chefs here in the real world that you know that this is Top Chef. It's modeled after Top Chef, and I loved every minute of it. But on the plane to New York, she has sizzling chemistry with the guy who sits next to her. His name is Luke, and they really hit it off, and when they end their date, she goes, sorry, I can't see you for the next 6 weeks, because she can't actually tell him that she's on the show. So she leaves her phone number with him, kisses him goodbye, and doesn't expect to see him for 6 weeks. And lo and behold, he is the new judge of Chef Supreme. So there's a lot of chemistry there. It's the slowest burn of slow burns, because she knows that if they hook up while on the show, she could lose her spot. She needs to win the show. But at the same time, there's a lot more about her backstory with her old boss that gets revealed. Another rival from the Seattle area, another female chef, ends up being a contestant. I really applaud the book for a lot of dynamics. And first and foremost, it's really about Sadie finding her place in the world. She specializes in cooking Jewish food with a new twist. And it was a really diverse cast. I love that we had non-binary representation, we had bisexual representation, there were tons of other cliche characters as well that you know and love and hate if you're a member of the Top Chef fandom like I am, and it was a really fun read. I highly recommend. We're probably at a slightly different camera angle and setup. My camera battery died, so we are back again. I was talking about Sadie on the Plate, and I really liked the book not only for its diversity of its cast, but it felt very true to a modern story. What do I mean by this? It just felt real. There were conversations about not having your cell phone for 6 weeks and how weird that felt, how it was simultaneously liberating but also limiting. I also really enjoyed the characters of the behind the scenes parts of making a TV show. Prior to working in food, I actually had a career in my early 20s in television and in film. So I really personally appreciated the strange dynamics and relationships of here is my producer doesn't want me to leave the building because I could leak something, and all of it was true. It felt real. Some of those background characters I really hope Amanda Elliott brings back in other books, or they get their own books. I'm not sure. I just really enjoyed that. Or for example, one of the things I really liked, for example, is that one of the lead producers of the entire show doesn't actually love food. She doesn't cook at home. Why should she? She's surrounded by all of this great food all day, but to her, a job is a job, a paycheck's a paycheck, and it's a paycheck that pays pretty well. And I enjoy the frankness of that, because I don't think everyone is lucky enough to find the career that they love, that makes them happy, that isn't just for a paycheck. The same thing can be said, there's a conversation about these chefs and what cooking their authentic food is, or how judges are quick to say to a black chef, why are you not cooking African-American food or Southern food? And the parallel or opposite of that is a character named Caitlin who doesn't actually have a cuisine that she feels super passionate about. And she comes on the show to see if she can find out what that is. And one of the first things people ask her is like, well, what's your background? She says, well, I'm Cuban, but my mother and father, when they came from Cuba, left the recipes behind and didn't teach them to her. And that's something I personally resonate with. My dad was from Iran, but I didn't grow up with a lot of Iranian and Persian recipes. I have a couple that my mom loved to make for us and that I'm slowly learning. But when I pick up a Persian cookbook, because obviously cookbooks are everywhere, there's a strange feeling of detachment, because what I miss is my dad. And I miss being comforted by foods that remind me of my dad. But 90% of the cookbooks I have and 90% of these recipes are recipes I didn't grow up with. So I don't have an emotional connection to them, but people, I feel like there's this unexplained pressure or burden to become a master of Persian cuisine when you are Persian and you no longer have your parents or your heritage. That I'm supposed to find myself by cooking my way through these Persian cookbooks. So I really related to that story arc of Caitlin. I thought that a lot of characters had little story arcs and builds. And while it was about Sadie, and while this romance was definitely a crackling moment of tension the entire dang book, I liked that the other characters really did feel fleshed out. So in total, I read 7 books this month. I'm pretty consistent. I think I've read 22 books this entire year and we're 3 months in. So I'm averaging about 7 books. 2 were fiction this month, both foodie romance books. And I read 1 picture book and I've read mostly nonfiction per usual. That's my norm. But I have noticed, again, I continue to listen to more books, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I own a lot of physical books. So I am trying to make a conscious effort as I finish these books, are there any that I will be actively unhauling? So I will be unhauling Insatiable. This is a book that, as you'll see in my Unwrap My TBR project, I'm glad I read it, but I'm ready to let go. I also think I will be unhauling Taste of Control. I'm not quite sure yet because the Jacques Pepin series isn't over yet. I've got 2 more books for that book series to read and evaluate, but I don't think it's a book I'm going to read again. I'm glad that I read it. It's definitely a section of food writing that I don't spend a lot of time in, which is food and politics and the role food has in propaganda. It's a really interesting new space. I just don't know if I'm ever gonna go back to that book. So hopefully in the next couple of months, I will also keep track with you guys of how many books I am unhauling along with reading. But let me know in the comments below, do you think you're gonna read Sadie on the Plate? Are there any Top Chef fans out there? Hit me up below. And on your way down, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I post new videos every Saturday and Tuesday. And if you wanna see what I'm currently reading or what I'm more up to date to with the Read It and Eat subscription box, feel free to check me out on Instagram or my Storygraph link below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.